happening?
My bad, bro. My phone was it has a setting on the iPhone that it don't receive like spam calls.
Yeah. A lot of people got their phones like that.
Already. What's up, Capone?
Man, trying to make it, man, living, waiting to come home. You know what I'm saying?
Already, bro. So you live right now? Well, not live, but we're recording right now. It's the one and only Capone, a Midland legend, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get right into it, and I want to state this first, real quick, Capone, before you start speaking.
Talk to me.
I'm a Christian conservative Trumper.
Okay.
I'm just stating this for the audience, but this you can hear too, though. But I back law enforcement. And
Yes, of course.
I'm going to say this. I back law enforcement, and I even back the feds, especially with the situation with Charlie Kirk and all this. We back the
Yeah.
blue. But I'm going to be honest. In Midland, I've had dealings with the MPD, and I'm going to be honest. I've had it documented. They've treated me unfairly for my free speech. But I just want to say that this is in no way to be against law enforcement. I want you to tell your story, and you are currently where at right now.
But I'm currently in Fort Worth FMC.
Okay.
At the Federal Correctional Institution. And, I mean, me, just like you, man, don't nobody deserve to die over their political views, you know what I'm saying, no matter what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad he had to die for that, but, you know.
Yeah, it's very sad. But anyways, Joe Capone. So right now we got a call with you. We got a limited time. What are you currently incarcerated for?
Conspiracy to distribute cocaine, money laundering, bank fraud, and conspiracy to retaliate against a federal witness.
And how long did they give you?
Originally, when I went to trial, I was sentenced to 3 30-year sentences, 5 20-year sentences, a stacked 10-year sentence, and a stacked 2-year sentence. So I ended up with 504 months, which is 42 years.
And Capone, well, go ahead. Sorry.
In 2019, my case was overturned because the gun case was illegal. They overturned the gun case, and they sent me back to Midland to court to be resentenced. And the judge seen fit to raise all of my prior sentences 10 more years to make up for the gun case. So he resentenced me to 42 years.
Is that legal?
Well, under federal law, it's legal because by the Supreme Court overturning my entire case, they resentenced me like I never got sentenced without the gun case. The maximum I could have received was life when I went to trial. Under the First Step Act, they reduced that to 40 years, so the most he could give me was 40 years, and that's what he did. He gave me the maximum possible sentence. When I went to trial, I got the minimum sentence, which was 30 years. When I went back for resentencing, I should have gotten a reduction, but instead of a reduction, they gave me the maximum sentence, which was 40 years. While I was there in the federal holding facility, I was named as a person of interest that may have been involved in the shooting of a federal prosecutor's car, which I have nothing to do with. I had no idea it even happened. So they locked me up in the SHU for 2 months while I was awaiting resentencing, kept me there for 18 months, and then gave me the maximum sentence.
Wow. Okay, so I want to get into all that, but you said the First Step Act. Are you coming home soon? Something about Trump? Can you explain that real quick before we get into your story?
Well, yeah, the Justice Project, they got a hold of my case through some other people. And when they saw my case, they were like, this is not even legal, you know. And so they gave my case to some lawyers. They've been working on my case for the past 3 months after my clemency was denied by the Biden administration. And, you know, Alice Marie Johnson is the new pardon czar. So
yeah, my wife was telling me she's pretty legendary, right? As Trump appointed her, correct?
Yeah. She spent 30 years in prison.
So you work with her?
Well, I don't work with her, but the Justice Projects, they have connections in the White House and the Trump administration. Through her and through Trump, they said they're about to get me out. They're going to get me home.
What?
They're supposed to send me a brief this week, actually. They want me to read over it, and then they're going to send it to the White House.
And you'll be home when if that happens?
If Trump signs the executive clemency, I'll be home immediately.
Bro, I got like chills, bro. So let me ask you a question because you got a hold of me. I'm like most hated Trumper in Midland. What are your thoughts on Trump?
Well, I mean, Trump is like, to me, Trump is just, you know, he's the type of voice that a lot of people won't like. Some of the things he says, yeah, you know, they're kind of, you know, questionable. But at the same time, man, I don't question his ability to lead. You know what I'm saying? He's done some good things. He's done some things people don't like. But, you know, when it comes to politics, man, I mean, who's going to like everybody? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
But
can't
as
always
far as
all
I'm
agree.
concerned, nobody has helped me. Not Obama, not Biden, not nobody. Trump is the only one that done something that actually changed my case. It took my case from a life sentence to a max of 40 years. And even though they gave me that 40 years, you know, Trump is the only person who signed anything in the law that affected my case.
Okay.
So, you know.
All right, Capone, and I want to get into your
This
upbringing in a
call
minute.
is from a federal prison.
We only have a limited amount of time, but this is our first little section of this call. Our millions gonna trip out when they see you and me doing the video together, bro, to be honest. But so Capone, I know people say this all the time, bro, and I'm gonna be honest. I actually believe you because I talked to Big Perk. We did a video. You saw the video, correct? So let's talk about that real quick. Me and Perk did a video talking about you. A lot of Midland was excited; they wanted to hear about it, but they didn't get to hear it from you. Well, what'd you think about the video, the clip? Did you ever get to hear about it, or how'd you hear about me?
Well, I heard about the video. I didn't really get to hear the entire interview. I just heard bits and pieces of it, of course. But you know, I've seen some of your posts. I've seen some of your different stuff like that online, man, and I've seen some of the people's reactions. You know, to some of your posts. You know, a lot of people don't like Trump, so of course, you know, you bigging up in Trump people. You know, they probably hate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like when you hit me up, you said you got haters, but you got more haters. But we'll get to that. So
Yeah.
this is what I want to get to, Capone. Me and Perk talked about it, bro, and I believe it's true too. That's why I want to let you speak. But Perk said that you're innocent, bro, and many people always say they're in prison innocent, and they're innocent.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I wouldn't say that I'm innocent. I'm
Okay.
not innocent. You know, I was living a criminal lifestyle out there.
Okay.
But I don't sell drugs. I haven't sold any drugs first time I went to prison. When I got out in 2004, I went in a different direction. They expected me to sell drugs. That's why they kept raiding my houses and stuff like that. You don't ride around Midland in a city of 120,000 people selling crack for 5 years and the DEA can't catch you. The DEA caught El Chapo. How do they not catch me? It's either I'm the smartest man in the world or I'm innocent. One of the two. Innocent of the drug charges. I'm also innocent of the shooting. I didn't order anybody to shoot anybody. They did that on their own, but they held me responsible for it.
Okay.
Conspiracy.
Wow, man, this is crazy. We're gonna get into a good story here. I guess without getting into too much of that right now with the intro, let me ask you because, man, I ain't gonna lie, you seem like a very intelligent person, bro, and I know you're like I would say street legend, rap legend. I think you were probably one of the best rappers back in the day, bro. You did some good music, and
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I worked on one of your properties. I remember you pulled up. I was working with the Mexicans, and we were painting one of your buildings out here in the flats, bro. But you probably, I was just a young dude, and I saw something about you, bro. Like you were like different. Like you weren't like you were a hood, but man, you were wearing like Dockers. You were like, you know what I'm saying? You looked at you were a different kind of a gangster. You know what I mean? And I was like, this dude right here is trying to do something. I could kind of tell, bro. Is that what you're trying to do with your life? Change it or do better with your life?
Well, I mean, you don't come out of prison and do what I did, without having a little sense. But I had a lot of help, man. A lot of people that's like, oh, he was pimping, he was doing this, he was doing that. I ain't never sent no girl to no track and told her to go sell her body. I ain't never did any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, the word pimp, I don't even like the word, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the bottom of the barrel. You know what I'm saying? I owned a legal entertainment company called Conspiracy Entertainment. I had several girls that worked for my entertainment company. I owned the strip club Jaguars Platinum in 2007. I owned Club Pleasures in Midland, and I had a tobacco store right there on the flats. And of course, like we just talked about, the building that y'all painted, that was the music studio that I had put together in 2008. And all my finances came from legal business. None of my finances came from any drugs or any of that. I didn't have any money invested in drugs, none of that. But I was living a lifestyle that most dudes, really just couldn't believe. They would see me with the girls and all that, and they'd be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But they just didn't know that what I was doing, had a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And so basically, that's what we did. We took the fast money that we made, set of course, at Jaguars and stuff like that, and opened several businesses. The police, of course, they couldn't see how I was making my money. I lived in Midland, but my girls worked in Odessa. The strip club was in Odessa. All they do is see me popping up with diamonds and cars. So they're thinking this dude's selling dope. But like I said, during my trial, they said they sent 5 different people to me with a wire on. Now, if they send 5 different people to you wearing a wire at 5 different times, they're going to get some evidence if you're selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? Unless the guy selling the dope is his psychic, got Miss Cleo next to him or something, he's going to get caught. He's going to say something illegal or he's going to do something illegal on tape. None of the people they sent to me were able to buy drugs because I wasn't selling drugs. The police then destroyed the tapes because they didn't want the jury to hear me on several different occasions telling people, listen, I don't sell dope.
This call is from a federal prison.
So, after they admitted to destroying the tapes from the attempted controlled buys, the judge, the jury, they never got to hear me. They never got to hear me actually tell people when they approached me asking for drugs, bro, I don't sell dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so,
go ahead. Well, what I want to say is we're going to get into all this, man. We're going to tell a lot of your story here. This is just the first intro video here. I mean, like I said, street legend Capone. But we got about, I guess, about four minutes left here. Your thoughts, basically. I mean, you're in prison right now. Did you ever think you would be in prison? How does it feel to lose your freedom, bro? I mean, I know you went the first time, but this whole time you've done prison time. How does it feel to be just in prison?
Well, it probably feels, you've never been in prison, it's kind of hard to explain to you. When you lose your liberty, when you lose your freedom, you pretty much lose everything. When I left, my son was 12 years old, and I always taught him, stay away from drugs, stay away from all of that. And to see his father on trial for drugs, he was like, what? You know what I'm saying? And, of course, he knows I wasn't selling drugs, but now my son's 28. I got 3 grandkids, you know what I'm saying? That's how it feels. I've never even got to hold one of my grandkids. You know what I'm saying? My mother died in 2015. You know what I'm saying? I never got to see my mother again after my arrest. When you're arrested for something that someone is saying, alleging that you did, you're given no bond whatsoever, and you're held for 16 and a half years because somebody said you did something. There's not one law-abiding citizen that testified against me. Everybody that testified against me was a prisoner, a federal prisoner in prison for selling drugs.
And Capone, and not to cut you off, sorry about that, but I guess they started with this conspiracy stuff, huh, bro? Back in the day, and that's how they would get people if they couldn't catch. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of don't like that because I think if you get charged, you should be caught. You know what I'm saying? If you doing the crime, you should be. I believe in fair justice system. Real quick, I'm gonna ask you, bro. Were you born in Midland?
I was born in Fort Worth.
Okay.
I actually came to Midland in the 80s, moved back and forth from Fort Worth to Midland.
Yeah.
And but I spent the majority of my childhood in Midland. I moved back to Fort Worth in 1990, came back to Midland in 91.
Okay.
And that's
and I don't want to go too much into your upbringing, but I do want to ask you this, bro, because I feel like we're somewhat alike, even though you're older than me. But Midland, bro, you think it's like a trap? It's something about Midland, huh? Can you touch on what it is living in Midland? Bunch of haters. What do you think about Midland?
Midland is a trap to me in the sense that people will come from other cities and they'll see the money. There's a lot of money.
I've been saying that.
There's so much money in Midland. People will come from other states, other cities, and it's so easy. Like in Fort Worth, you can't do the things you do without carrying guns and being about that life. In Midland, any sucker can grab a dope sack, make a bunch of money, and become a dope boy. Then when he gets caught, just tell on somebody, get out and do the same thing again. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you really nailed it with that, bro. That's a real statement. I agree with you. Okay, so we're winding down. What do you want to say to everybody listening about your story we're fixing to tell on these next couple episodes? Go ahead.
I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying? If people think I did something last time, man, I got some plans for when I get out, man. It is going down. I'm talking about some multi-million-dollar legal shit, man, and that's what I'm on. I basically just want to get out, man, and just make up for all the lost time with my son, with my family, things like that. But I learned so much being here, losing my freedom. You know what I'm saying? But in other words, I wouldn't even probably be alive if they wouldn't have gave me this sentence. So, it is what it is. God's plan. At the end of the day, it's God's plan.